I'm not surprised, to be honest. I'm not surprised because Mike Brown's father is fed up with them, and it's only fair that, you know, Samaria Rice is also fed up with them as well. So let's get into it. Tamir Rice, mother criticizes Tamika Mallory after Lil Baby's Grammy performance. Samaria Rice, the mother of Tamir Rice, has criticized Lil Baby's Grammys performance of The Bigger Picture, which featured activist Tamika Mallory. The performance, which debuted deep into Sunday's night's festival, opened with a depiction of police brutality featuring actor Kendrick Sampson. Mallory appeared later in the performance, as did Killer Mike of Run the Jewels. In a Facebook post, notably from an account previously cited in reports from People and Insider and others as belonged to Samaria Rice, Samaria shared a clip of the Mallory portion of the Grammys performance. "Look at this clout chaser," she said. "Did she lose something in this fight? I don't think so. That's the problem. They take us for a joke. That's why we never have justice, because of stuff like this." Here's a tweet. Samaria Rice, mother Tamir Rice, calls out against Tamika Mallory and other neoliberal activists. She states, "You Black Lives Matter riding these families' backs. Y'all are screwed up. You're screwed up our fight. I stand with Samaria Rice," as she calls out the commodification of Black death, basically making money off the deaths of Black people at the hands of police. Okay. And, you know, she's telling the truth. Okay. She is basically telling the truth. These guys go to all these awards now. They're not fighting in the streets, marching and telling people not to destroy their own property. They're not fighting to make sure that, you know, the officers who killed Tamir Rice are going to be facing justice. All this is about money. Okay. Mike Brown's father was supposed to get millions, okay, to help with the fight against police brutality and white supremacy. He only gets $500. What's up with that? This thing is about greed, okay? Even chapters are fighting Black Lives Matter within the organization, okay? Fighting about the money being spent. Patrisse Cullors, I already said this group, they're trained Marxists, that they're about LGBT rights. They're not about Black Lives Matter. They're not about the deaths of Black men and women and children who have suffered at the hands of racist cops. Okay? They're not about that. I'm just looking at these tweets of her. You know, Tamika Mallory brings the fire to Lil Baby's Grammy performance. What is this about performing? This is about social justice work. Okay? That's what it's supposed to be about, fighting for injustice. And it's all about fame. That's what it's about. It's turned into. That's what it's always been. The way I've been seeing it. It's about, like I said, to push for LGBT rights. Okay? There's a video clip on YouTube of Irritated Ginny when one of the Black Lives Matter, a lesbian, came into their meetings and was trying to convince them about kids being gay. And Irritated Ginny just sent her off because, the straight Black pride movement was about pride for Blacks being straight and about their families. Okay? She wants to come in with LGBT rights. LGBT trying to convince them that it's okay. And Irritated Ginny said something that was on point. Wait, we didn't come to your organization and try to convince you that being straight is the way to go. Respect your decision. Now let us be about our business and you be about yours. But she comes in there trying to bring that up, trying to infiltrate the group. That's what they do. These liberal groups, they're for communism. These liberal groups are about Marxism. That's what she said. They try to take it off their, off their mission statement that they're about the downfall of the traditional black family. And they would have the only men that would be in their groups are the ranks that are for their cause, LGBT, alternative lifestyles. But it's true. This is what they are. They can erase it from their website, but it's recorded on video that Patrisse Cullors and her two other partners in this organization are for trained Marxism. They're for Marxism. And they'll use anything they can to get that goal, even if it means making money off the deaths of black people. That's basically what it's about. And always has been from the jump. That was their objective. Samaria also addressed her problems with the performance and with the prevalence of such examples of what some have criticized as a commodification of those who were killed due to police brutality and the number of additional posts on Sunday and Monday. Forget the Grammy when my son is dead. She said in one post. Fuck, man. In another, she again mentioned Mallory, as well as seemingly calling out recently prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Tamik and the crew, forget you, chasing clout along with Sonny, Crump, and Lee. She said, "You have literally screwed up our fight. I hope not another family soul use y'all to represent them. Y'all might as well be junior pigs, cops. I'm mad as hell." In the statement shared alongside the performance's debut and the prior to Samara's criticism, Little Baby detailed his intentions behind the Grammys performance. "My performance is important to me, and I had to make sure it was right," I said. "Nominations aside, actually performing the bigger picture means the most to me. I paint pictures with my songs. I wanted the performance to bring the picture to life. Just like with the song, this performance had to reflect the real, no sugar from my family, my fans, my city know who I did this for." Tamir Rice was killed by white Cleveland police officer Timothy Loman in November of 2014. He was 12 years old. In December last year, the Justice Department said it would not bring federal criminal charges against Loman and partner Frank Garmbach. In a press release, the department said it had notified counsel for Tamir's family and also sent a letter to the family detailing their decision, which they claimed was brought by insufficient evidence supporting federal charges. 2 months prior to the announcement, the New York Times report from Charlie Savage and Katie Berner said the department had effectively and quietly shut down a civil rights investigation into the police killing of Tamir Rice more than a year ago. So basically, instead of being on the Grammys, you should be fighting like hell to make sure that this investigation stays open. Okay? Because if it's a white kid in a playground, okay, with a toy gun, they wouldn't have shot him immediately coming on the scene. They wouldn't have done that. And that is the truth. And the problem is, it's like one rule for blacks, another rule for non-blacks. That's what it is. One rule for blacks, another rule for non-blacks and how to live when it comes to this. This is something that, makes Black Lives Matter look like a joke. It seriously does. Because all this grandeur, grandstanding, and all this media attention, but none of it is pointed to doing what they're supposed to do. Black lives supposed to matter. But it seems it only matters when money is involved and if the death is at the hand of a white person. And instead of, taking that money and using it for what it was meant for, for the loved ones of the slain, he decides to use that for gain. That's basically what it is. Now I'm going to read about the breakdown of the events that led to this 12-year-old's death. Samaria Rice's son, Tamir Rice. Cleveland, Ohio. The decision Cleveland officials made to pursue punishment against the city police officers in the shooting of a 12-year-old Tamir Rice will no doubt be just as divisive as the other decisions made in the case over the past 2 years. The city announced Friday that the officials would pursue administrative charges against 3 officers Timothy Lohman, Frank Graham Beck, William Cunningham is also investigating a 4th unnamed police employee. City internal investigators said that they were able to find fault that met the burden of proof needed to impose discipline. At the same time, these same actions did not meet the burden of proof that Cayuga County prosecutors said they needed. Alvin Williams said hearings must be held before the charges are finalized and discipline is imposed. Any discipline imposed will no doubt be appealed. Regardless of the disciplinary charges, the events that led up to the 12-year-old shooting on November 22nd, 2014 have been picked apart endlessly by public lawyers and investigators. Former Cayuga County Prosecutor Timothy J. McGinty called the shooting a perfect storm of human error at a November 2015 news conference. Here's the breakdown of Lohman's hiring as well as what happened. Also included are the city's charging decisions and how the city directly or indirectly address each issue to try to prevent such a shooting from happening again. How Lohman was hired. Lohman applied to be a Cleveland police officer in March 2013, according to the city's charging documents released Friday. He was hired and started a year later. Police brass, however, did not properly vet Lohman through publicly available information. Lohman now faces discipline for what the city said were omissions on his application. Internal investigators said he had an obligation to be forthcoming and completely truthful on his application, yet he admitted that he would have been fired from the Independence Police Department. The department allowed him to resign, documents say. Lohman also admitted other agencies where he applied that did not hire him, the charging documents say. In the wake of Tamir's shooting, the city said it was committed to improve its hiring practices. At the time he was hired, the police department had no policies for vetting recruits. Improving hiring practices is also something is required to do under settlement. It's reached the Justice Department. How the call went out. A guy is pointing people at Cuddle Recreation Center. The man was calm and told dispatcher Constance Hollinger that the person was pointing the gun was probably a juvenile and that the gun is probably fake. Let's read that again. The man was calm and told dispatcher Constance Hollinger that the person pointing the gun was probably juvenile and the gun was probably fake. Hollinger relayed the call to dispatcher Beth Mandel. She sent Garmack and his trainee Lohman, to Cuddle. They were on patrol and were the closest available officers to investigate. Garmack, behind the wheel of the cruiser, drove toward Cuddle. Lohman, who's been on the force for less than a year, sat in the passenger seat. The problem was that dispatchers didn't tell Lohman and Garmack that of the force at the time drove over a curb to Cuddle and to the gaze booth where Tamara had been sitting. This put the cruiser within feet of the 12-year-old. McGinty, when explaining the justification behind not charging Garmack, noted that the 2 officers thought they were dealing with a potential active shooter based on what information they had. The city's internal investigators are seeking charges against Garmack for failing to employ proper tactics when driving his cruiser to what was reported as an armed suspect. He also violated department policy by not telling dispatchers when he arrived, the documents say. Cunningham, who was working on an off-duty shift at the recreation center, was not directly involved in the lead up to the Tamir shooting, but is facing discipline for working on off-duty shift without permission and lying to investigators. How Lorman got out and fired. As the cruiser stopped, Tamir reached to his right waistband and pulled out a replica gun. McKinley previously told Cleveland.com. Lohman got out of the cruiser and fired his service weapon twice at close range. Lohman said he shouted warnings to Tamir to drop his firearm, but the whole interaction lasted less than 2 seconds. Okay. Let's read that again. As the cruiser stopped, Tamir reached to his right waistband and pulled out the replica gun. McGinley previously told Cleveland.com. Lohman got out of the cruiser and fired his service weapon at close range. Lohman said he shouted warnings to Tamir to drop his weapon, but the whole interaction lasted less than 2 seconds. There's a lot of lying going on here. Tamir pulled out his weapon. Jesus. The city, since this shooting, has worked with the U.S. Justice Department, an independent monitor, to redraft how officers use force and try to de-escalate situations. While the new policies still leave officers a lot of discretion, it also says officers must take every step necessary to avoid using violence before using a weapon. This could include slowing a situation down or moving to escape danger. How the officers did or did not render Tamir medical attention. After Lohman shot Tamir, neither he nor Gormack rendered first aid to the boy, who laid on the snow-covered grass. 4 minutes later, the FBI, out with another Cleveland police officer investigated a robbery, showed up at Cuddle and gave the boy medical attention until an ambulance arrived. While the agent rendered medical attention, Lohman and Gormack just stood there. The agent later told investigators that the officers wanted to do something, but they didn't know what to do. After the shooting, the city of Cleveland trained police officers on giving first aid and put kits in each of the city's cruisers. There's a whole lot of lying going on. There's a whole lot of deception. Black Lives Matter should have been getting their grind on and making sure this case stays open. Their job was to serve the victims' loved ones and their families to get justice, not to get Grammys, not to get awards, not to get TV shows, or to be able to, write for Warner Brothers like Patrisse Cullors. This is sad, man. This is sad. It really is. It's unfortunate. All right. There's more I want to say, but I don't know how to articulate it. To be honest, I don't know how to really articulate it. Okay? I really don't. Tell me what you think in the comments. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. All right. Later.